Let's bring in Kevin Brady, a Republican congressman from Texas. He's calling for the unspent stimulus funds to be returned to the Treasury. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us for Happy Hour. Let's talk about first, since it is the one-year anniversary of this stimulus, do you agree that it has kept, I saw one figure, 325,000 teachers, police officers, and so forth on the payroll. It's basically subsidized their jobs because the states couldn't afford to keep them on the payroll. Are at least those some jobs that were saved?
You know, I think they were. One, thanks for having me. Secondly, yeah, you know, I think government workers at the state and local level, where in effect we had another bailout, actually did do well under this. But, you know, I think the White House doesn't realize they've lost this debate. I mean, when 6% of Americans believe the stimulus actually created jobs, when more than half Americans feel less financially secure today than they did with the stimulus, then in effect I think they're selling pet rocks. And it's both the design of the stimulus and, you know, the wild promises, the exaggerated claims, the fake congressional districts, all of that I think has contributed to the American public saying this hasn't worked.
Well, let's go back to a year ago when the president said he was going to have this stimulus package, Congressman Brady, and what did the president actually say it was going to do, and what did it do to date?
Yeah, three things he told the Joint Economic Committee, or at least his advisors did. This would jumpstart the economy, it would control unemployment, and it would restore consumer confidence. Has any of that happened?
Well,
obviously no. Unemployment high, consumers very skeptical about everything, and of course the jobs, lost 4 million jobs more, so probably failed on every measure that the White House laid out.
Representative, but you know, when you voted for yourself to borrow $160 billion from my hopefully children someday, and the fact of the matter is, I don't remember it working out very well either. It basically provided the Democrats cover for an $800 billion stimulus package after you guys, the Republicans, and you yourself voted to take $160 billion of mine and call it a stimulus package in 2008. That didn't help unemployment either, did it?
No, it didn't, but actually that was more a blocking maneuver on our part. You know, having pure tax cuts for families versus what the Speaker wanted to do, which was food stamps and government spending, all of which ended up in the second stimulus. We were voting to do just pure tax cuts, and as it turned out, you were right. People saved that money, and then, of course, $4 a gallon gas ate up the rest of it. So that was a great lesson, I think, for everyone on not to go down that road, but Congress did without any Republican votes in the House.
Congressman, let's talk about that you want what is unspent of stimulus, which is a majority of it. You know, our figures, we've spent about a third of the $862 billion. You want that money to go back to the Treasury, not to be used for any type of stimulus, not for job stimulus, so not tax breaks for companies that hire new workers or infrastructure equipment purchases. You don't want it to be used for that because we still have a high unemployment rate.
We do, but the stimulus hasn't worked. Most of these projects are long-term. They don't jumpstart the economy. And I think rather than borrow that money, a lot of money with all the interest payments, I think returning it to the taxpayers, not spending it. And I think really the greatest stimulus the government can create is to stop frightening businesses with cap and trade, health care, and new tax increases. Stop frightening consumers with all this massive debt. And then I think getting the federal regulators off the throats of our local banks so they can lend again, all of those would be very positive with no cost.
Congressman Kevin Brady, I mean, you're on the money there because we hear that all the time from people, from business owners who come on Happy Hour. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.